Yep, lineups, come on, please. Nope, still no lineup. Well, APIA's in. Good evening from Illingdon Sports Centre. It's time for some NPL New South Wales men's action. And tonight we are kicking off round 8 with a clash between Sydney FC and APIA Leichhardt. Big match for both these teams. Sydney FC have had mixed form, 3 wins and 4 losses this season. They kick off the round in 9th with 9 points, while APIA kick off tonight with 5 wins from their 7 games, 1 draw and only the 1 loss, all the way back in round 1. Their 16 points actually has them in a 3-way tie, and only trailing Marconi and St George on goal difference. They can take outright second tonight and put the pressure on those two and move to within 3 points of Sydney United 58, who are at the top of NPL Men's New South Wales to start the 8th round of competition. APIA in their gold away kit tonight with the maroon shorts, while Sydney FC are in the regular home kit of the sky blue. Teo Pellizzeri with you for this one. The wind has gusted at times during the curtain race in the under-20s. Thankfully, the rain has stayed away for the best part of 2 hours now, and hopefully will do so for the aid of the spectacle tonight. Of course, on a night the Socceroos play in town, we'll keep you posted. That game doesn't kick off until 8:10 though. So if you're with us for now or for the full duration, it's a pleasure to have your company on the Football New South Wales YouTube channel. Let's get to the teams. Sydney FC, a red card has been overturned for Reef Farias during the week, so he's free to play tonight. But the goalkeeper, Gus Hufslet, gets us started number 1, 3 Farias, 7 Jordan Grorowski, 8 Sam Lancaster, 10 Tay Headley, 14 Jared Middleton, 15 a start tonight for Zinedine Ardancia, so a great opportunity for him. 16 Miles Milliner, 18 Ethan Dyer, 19 Mitch Glasson and 27 Lachlan Middleton. It is, it must be said, a younger than usual Sydney FC team than we've become used to seeing so far this season. Let's take a look at APIA now. Oliver Kalatz in goal, 2 Saya Kambiashi, 7 into the starters tonight, Jack Stewart, 9 Presley Ortiz, 15 Temba Moatamalo, 16 Sean Simmons, 19 Fabian Monge, 22 Eddie Caspers, 24 Cameron Fong, 28 is Kyle Shaw, and the number 99 is Franco Farinella. So, all in readiness then to kick off at a windswept Illingdon in the southern suburbs of Sydney. First game of round 8, and can APIA set the tone in pursuit of Sydney United 58 at the top of the league and in what is quite a hot contest for second place on the ladder at the moment. They are on a 6-game undefeated run as they come to Illingdon tonight. But as we've seen, Sydney FC at home, they already have the scalp of Marconi this season. Can they take another big one here tonight? And APIA immediately consolidating possession. Simmons with a trademark left-footed delivery, and Presley Ortiz puts a shot on target in the opening seconds of the game, albeit from a very acute angle and dealt with by Hufslet, who's able to make the save. So a brisk opening from APIA, and on a cool night, barely 13 degrees, you'd expect nothing less than high tempo from both these sides, who pride themselves on playing good football. Chance for Sydney FC to build for the first time here. And good defending from Caspers to usher his marker out towards the line. Jimmy Van Vieren and Franco Parisi, the two gaffers, duking it out in the technical area tonight. We'll get to the benches at a suitable break in play, but for now, it is Lachlan Middleton on the ball here for Sydney FC. Kyle Shaw comes across, a miss-hit pass. Tay Headley takes over, Mitch Glasson, and now the through ball, Grorowski. Excellent save. Out comes Kalatz and makes a statement at the start of the night, but what a chance for Jordan Grorowski, and perhaps that should have been 1-0 to Sydney FC, and a really well-worked move at that. Middleton, he started it just a moment ago. Now out on the wing. The debutant, or at least in the starting sense, Zinedine Ardancia. Exciting to have a Zinedine in the NPL. Of course, we've had Zinedine Mashash in the A-League last season at Melbourne Victory. Dare I say their name on a Sydney FC game. APIA now having to consolidate all the way back in defence. Temba Moatamalo plays it out to the wing. And a giveaway potentially. Glasson contesting. Across comes Kambiashi. And the ball spills to Simmons. He's sizing up his options and decides not to swing his left foot through the ball immediately, and instead is happy to send it back to shore. And APIA can get a feel for the ball. Looking at the corner flags, it doesn't appear as though the wind is significantly advantaging either end of the ground, so maybe it's just a little bit blowier for us up here on the equivalent of the third floor in the scaffold rather than down at ground level. The fence actually does rise quite high to provide some protection to the ball when it's on the deck, maybe not so much in the air. Here is Kambiashi as APIA look to build. Franco Farinella back in the starters tonight. Back to Moata Marlow. And this is a patient and promising build-up here. Jack Stewart trying to change the pace of the attack, and he just couldn't link up there with Fong as he played it into the box, and the Sydney defence was able to converge and clear away. Stewart immediately gets another chance. Stewart cuts past one. Through the traffic he goes, and that is off his shin. That will be a goal kick. So to the benches for both sides. Sydney FC tonight, backup keeper Alexander Zavadinos, and then Kalen Marshall-Witt, Jay Maltz, Nicholas Calder, Zach Fowler, and Junior Conde. So very much a junior bench tonight for Sydney, while for APIA, they are spoiled for choice for when they turn to the bench. Alexander Parks, their goalkeeper, Aijin Kishimoto, Michael Conestavo, Max Court, and Oscar Gonzalez, the two APIA young guns, Alex Denmead, who scored last weekend, and Christian Lombardo, who comes onto the bench tonight as well. Sydney trying to hustle here. There will be still a little bit of surface water that may not have necessarily been kicked off by the under-20s in the early game. But the shine you see coming off the synthetic, if you are watching the stream, is very much due to the artificial light, and we are entirely reliant on it. The sun has finally dipped behind the horizon. Beautiful to look west at Linden to watch it set tonight. Here's Ortiz. He's immediately confronted by the Sydney FC defence. Middleton squeezes a pass through a tight gap. Now from the base of midfield, Lockie Middleton, does he draw a free kick? He doesn't. Stewart takes the ball away. Shooting range for Jack Stewart, and it just goes over the bar, and maybe that's APIA's best chance to open the scoring, and Jack Stewart, normally such a hot shot, didn't quite keep that on the target. The excitement of breaking forward at full speed, too much to resist, and he sent it over the bar. You can see the APIA press right up to the edge of the penalty area. Sydney FC take the short goal kick. Jared Middleton, and now Reef Farias. And a little tap on the ankles of Ardanzia leads to a free kick. And now he's on the ball here. Here goes Zinedine. What can he conjure up? He's able to show great agility and weave past Caspers, but the pass isn't able to match his movement, and APIA quickly regained possession. Here's Moata Marlow to Fong, was playing in the sky blue of Sydney FC's youth team only a couple of seasons ago. Cameron Fong. Here's a long ball for Rias, Herfslut. They've both misjudged it, but luck's a fortune for Herfslut, able to bring the ball down without it being nicked off his toes outside of his penalty area. So the build-up continues for Sydney. Farias breaking into midfield, block tackle, and possession immediately won back by Fabian Monge. Simmons sizing up his options, and he blazes away on his left foot, and even though there's enough bend to keep the ball from going out for a goal kick, it does tumble out for a throw-in on the right hand side as APIA see it. Well, left back for Sydney FC as they take the throw-in here. Plenty of patience for the throw-in. Thankfully, we do have a couple of fans over on the outer side to play ball boy for us, keep the game moving. Long throw. And Fong sees it out just about at the halfway line. Miles Milliner, third throw-in in a row. This time he takes it short and quick, and Sydney FC are away. Jared Middleton trying to hook it onto his own advantage. Leaves the ball with Tay Headley. Headley's cross. Glasson caught behind. But the volley and Grorowski. That's 2 chances now. And his technique wasn't quite there for him. He claps his hands together, Jordan Grorowski, because he knows that was a good opportunity. And they have both fallen to him so far, the number 7. Callets has already made one really excellent save. Big confidence builder out of the gates. Back pass, a little awkward. Callats has got to go. Thankfully, it wasn't on target. And he squeaks it out for a throw it in the nick of time. But well, I don't think that was a gust of wind. I think that was just a back pass that was a little too firmly struck and left the goalkeeper with a little bit too much to do. Not sure that APIA could have necessarily blamed that little mishap on the conditions, but they're trying to make it a moot point by defending the throw in here. Aranzia not able to free his feet, so the ball is hooked high and away. Lockie Middleton, Ortiz is about to catch Farias in possession. Ortiz, good save, Herfslut. Made himself big one-on-one, and Farias, well, he was beaten by the bounce and maybe an element of the surface and the conditions at play there. But the goalkeeper, Gus Herfslut, he's been able to answer Ollie Callats' early excellent one-on-one save by making one of his own. It's the story of the goalkeepers so far in this one. Action-packed. First goal not far away, but it could come at either end because Sydney FC are breaking Middleton's pass. Head first from Callats. Thrilling stuff. And he's able to find the safety of Caspers. Caspers almost drawing a foul, but he's able to retain the ball regardless. Jack Stewart, the game is just slingshotting end-to-end at breakneck speed at the moment. Thrilling stuff. And this is good one-on-one defending here from Milliner. And the Australian under-17 international is able to see it out for a goal kick. Everyone take a breath. Wow. That was a one-on-one save from Herfslut at one end, answered by a full-length forward diving header from Ollie Callats at the other. Brave goalkeeping, it must be said. And he was able to time his leap into the header to perfection. And Herfslut decides that as the wind picks up a bit, he's going to abandon any pretense of a short goal kick, and so the APIA press drops off and isn't going to do anything at the edge of the box anymore. Instead, they're going to win it back in midfield. Caspers, Middleton, Aranzia, quick 1-2 with Sam Lancaster. And the ball breaks out to the wing. Here's Samuel Lancaster. He prefers his left foot. See what he does in terms of favouring it tonight. That pass is going to sail out for an APIA throw. Throw in for APIA. Ortiz has now had a big chance of his own to score. Nicely played by Monge. Over to Farinella. APIA have got loose players. Over on the left, Simmons. Does he go from distance? He does! And he was hoping for the bottom right corner. And so often in his career, Sean Simmons has been able to strike with power and placement, but that one goes a little wide. And so Stewart and Simmons have now both had decent looks at it in what is still a free-flowing game so far. No thoughts of the tempo dipping. Listen to the shouts of Franco Parisi on the APIA bench. Press, 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 you got him, he shouts. And they do have the ball. APIA win it back through Monge. Farinella committed the foul on Lancaster. Oh, Sydney took the free kick very quickly, not much advantage. Oh, and Adanzia slips on the ball, but he's quick to recover. And now Milliner plays it to Lancaster. Middleton, it's hot in the kitchen right now. APIA win the ball back. Ortiz, what a save! Herfslet tips it out for a corner. Brilliant save. And Presley Ortiz would have been forgiven for thinking that that was 1-0 APIA, not to be. And now APIA have a corner kick. So perhaps the moment of the match so far. The APIA press and full bore winning it back. Ortiz drawing this corner, taken short. Kambayashi to Caspers. Caspers just caught the wind, that one. I think there's been a few passes that may not have had the conditions as an alibi, but that one definitely did, as it just kept rising and sailed out for a goal kick. Sydney FC sticking with the long goal kicks for now, and plenty of distance on it from Herfslet. Onto the head of Moatamalo. Now Jack Stewart wants to keep the ball moving at pace. Across comes Jared Middleton. Did he keep it in? Not to his team's advantage. Throw in quickly taken by APIA. Fong concedes a bit of territory to Moatamalo. And now Kyle Shaw opens up the body and rolls out to Simmons on the left side. Simmons conjures a pass. He's able to pick out Monge. Monge back to Kambayashi. And Saya on the ball. Wants his right. And, well, a teasing pass that wasn't really matched by a forward run from any of the APIA players. Farias plays it to Lancaster. The press again trying to close Sydney down. Herfslet clears the back pass. Shaw into the header. Caspers in a duel against Adanzia and Headley. Can't get past Lockie Middleton. Eventually APIA string a couple of passes together. Simmons breaks out to the wing, and he tried to run the gauntlet there between two Sydney players, and he's been clever enough to win a throw in. Simmons with the throw. Ortiz couldn't trap and keep the ball, but it's been won back. Ortiz stepping around. Sydney FC, high risk, high reward with the one-touch passing. And Headley goes to ground. Referee didn't reach for the whistle, nor does he here for Caspers in a pile-up. Monge with a touch. And forward, a bustling run from Simmons. He finds Presley Ortiz. Can he free the feet? He goes one more pass. Here's Stewart too, and he found a gap. Put it through the legs of Miles Milliner, but Gus Herfslet had a clean line of sight behind his defender and was able to hold on as a result. APIA on top now. Sydney FC, can they strike against the run? Herfslet is going to send that one keeper to keeper. Back pass here, Moatamalo got a hustle. Grorowski chasing Kalatz, cleared the ball on his instep. Danger not yet averted for APIA. Glasson slides it to the right. Grorowski attempted a return ball, blocked away. And good defending from Shaw in concert there with Monge. And APIA clear their lines. Caspers. And now Kambayashi, touch into the middle. Farinella almost using the referee like a screen, and then he tried for the Cruyff turn on the ball and had it tackled off him. Lancaster. Now Glasson. Lockie Middleton can't keep possession for Sydney. Kambayashi and the runners break. Ortiz sprinting up to the ball. And Farias able to tackle it off him and clear for a throw. Hard against the line. Kambayashi, the flag stays down though from the assistant referee. Saya Kambayashi bouncing off Ortiz, Caspers, Fong, Jack Stewart. Stewart jags in, sliced, potentially dangerous, but Herfslett sees it all the way and is able to bring the ball down. It might have just been going off target, but a potential own goal risk if you don't strike the volley cleanly and slice it back towards your own keeper. And the ball is bombed out. Tonight's referee is Rowan Fisher. He's been happy to let the game flow so far. Grorowski running into a sandwich between Caspers and Muatamalo. Both teams think it's their throw, but the signal goes Apia's way. Fong concedes some territory back to Temba Muatamalo. And now Shaw. And they're quick to switch from right to left, Apia. They like to find Sean Simmons in space. He plays it up to Kambayashi here. Now Simmons, his turn to retreat. And will Shaw be the switch man again. He's going to keep the ball just a little bit longer this time before sending it to Muatamalo. Fong decides to take the game on against Headley. Just pushed it a little long. Jared Middleton made the interception. Now Lancaster on the ball. Lockie Middleton back to Farias. Here's Milliner. And Headley dragged up into his defensive half. So the game in a very tight cluster at the moment. Who's going to break into open space? Sydney FC happy to run it down the line. Win another throw in. And wait for Milliner to come up from left back to take this throw. Apia through Stewart, able to win it back and not quite away. Casper's pass out in front of Stewart, one that he couldn't quite run down. Long throw, Muatamalo with a volley. Kambayashi wants the ball at feet, plays it back to Muatamalo. Shaw. Fong. Interception. Milliner driving back the other way. He's been set a task here by Grorowski, and he's not going to be able to run it down, but he's able to win the ball away from Muatamalo. Great little sidestep as well. Miles Milliner, and a shot on target. And it was all his own work there because it looked as though he'd been outpointed by Temba Muatamalo, only for Milliner to nick in and steal the ball away. In the blink of an eye, attention now turns to defending for Sydney FC. Herfslett plays the ball to Jared Middleton. And running into trouble there was Lancaster, caught in possession by Kambayashi. Skim header. Runs on for Milliner. Farinella sizes it up, and a big deflection. And Jared Middleton had his body in the road there, but Franco Farinella fancied his chances. And again, when Apia are spilling possession, winning the ball back in their attacking half, that's where they can look so dangerous and potentially punish Sydney FC. Somehow this game is still 0-0, not for a lack of intent from both teams. Fong. Stewart working hard in a 1-on-2, and the numbers went out for Sydney FC. Milliner pops it down the line. Grorowski holding off Stewart and attempts to cut back in. Throw in Sydney. Matamalo. Farinella. Back to Shaw. Shaw plays it over to Simmons. Simmons sees the run of Fabian Monge. Fong. Too much on that pass for Stewart to run down, and it will almost accelerate on its way out for a goal kick as the wind picks up. The flags on the clubhouse side of the ground and the corner flags down to the right of screen, and you see the billowing jersey there of Jared Middleton and Reef Farias on the ball. So it's about as windy as it's been since kickoff now, and that is a challenge for Sydney FC defending into it here. About a quarter of the way through the night's action, and it's flown by. I guess a goal now would no longer be an early goal. The game is just starting to settle. Teams taking a little bit longer time over throw-ins and restarts of play. So for those of you watching from interstate or overseas that have never been to Illendon, we are right near the airport, so every time I hear a plane go overhead, I'm just hoping it is a plane and not a crack of thunder, because right now we actually, if the wind just eases off ever so slightly, we have a perfect night for football, and hopefully this is not the wind announcing itself as the third factor along with our two competing teams tonight. Simmons bumped off the ball. Shaw. Farinella. Back to Caspers. Stewart starting from deep in his defensive half. Fong is breaking ahead of the ball for him though. Stewart takes the metres on offer. It's drawn Tay Headley over, but wants to cut inside instead. Lateral pass. Monge, first time ball. And then Farinella couldn't keep it moving out to the left for Saya Kambayashi. APIA not quite able to stick a passing move there. Middleton, Headley. Milliner, first time ball, gives possession back to APIA, and Caspers, as he's bumped off it, the referee whistles for a free kick. No real let up from APIA. The pace of play is high from them at the moment. Simmons. And just a little too quick. So we've seen that on both flanks in the last couple of minutes. A pass that was too long for Stewart to run down. Flying out for a goal kick over on the right, and now something similar here. Kambayashi with an unretrievable ball down the left. Here's Caspers. That's Jimmy Van Veeren. You heard there, wait, good on when to press. And again, he's saying, wait. Kalatz with a long clearance. And this is going to be just at a tempting distance from the penalty area. Middleton had to take possession. Headley. And Sydney FC with a brisk triangle that, again, gives possession away. Caspers. Simmons getting forward. All about the delivery here from Simmons. He's going to engage his marker and now put the cross in. It's through the fingertips initially, but then on one bounce, Gus Herfslet is able to collapse onto the ball and bring it under his command. Now at the edge of the box, Farinella. Little step over on the ball. Caspers. Fong. Out to the wing, Ethan Dyer, the number 18 for Sydney FC. Watching the ball flash past, and there's a gap here. Jack Stewart has popped up over on the left. Stewart! Great goal! Jack Stewart puts it in the top right corner, and APIA have the opener. And Stewart, who started the game over on the right flank, he popped up on the left, created an overload, and it was one attacker too many to shut down. And APIA lead at Illingdon in the wind. And that really rattled into the back of the net there. A great finish. So 28th minute, it's APIA Leichhardt 1, leading Sydney FC 0. Just looking back at the stream as to where Jack Stewart made the decision, because Fong was over on the right flank as per normal, and Stewart, you see here at kickoff, straight back over to the right flank, so he just picked his moment to get over, create the overload, and Sydney FC caught out. Here's Middleton to Dyer against the line, back to Middleton, now Adanzia. He is trying to re-engage with the game here, and he's not quite able to push it into the path of Dyer. Two of the less experienced players at senior NPL level for Sydney FC. Dyer, the New Zealand Youth International, and Adanzia, who we've only seen on the team sheet in the seniors once this season, but into the starters tonight. Big chance for him. A bit of tactical malleability from APIA, finding a way to score the opener. And now it's over to Sydney FC for a response, because in spite of some very good clear-cut chances that have come their way, it is APIA who've now largely taken over the game. But we know the threat the Sydney FC team possesses, Headley. Especially if they can just wrestle back a bit of territory, which is what they've been lacking in the 10 minutes in the build-up to the goal. Here's Farias. The centre-back is going to let fly, and it's saved. Kalatz grasps on, and Grorowski, who was following in, was hoping that the goalkeeper might bobble it out, but not to be. Good hands from Oliver Kalatz. That's another save for him, and Farias showed that no matter how strong the wind is, it's not an impingement to shooting. Here's Grorowski. Is it third time lucky for him? No, it is not. Blocked away. Slip from the goal scorer, Stewart. And that will allow Milliner to take possession. Farias. Glasson. Back to Sam Lancaster. Little quick touch. Sydney FC stringing some passes together. APIA chasing shadows at the moment. Here's Miles Milliner. Lancaster leaves the ball with Lockie Middleton. Glasson's pass. And now Dyer herring after it over on the wing, but Kambayashi will lead him to the ball, and the Japanese national, Seiya Kambayashi, cleverly seeing it over the sideline. So, we've passed the half-hour mark, and it's APIA Leichhardt, thanks to Jack Stewart, in a 1-0 lead against Sydney FC. And it means that they will be jumping up to 19 points and outright second on the table tonight. It's the only game on your Friday night in NPL Men's at New South Wales. Clearance here from Kalatz on the head of Farinella. And the ball running out to the wing. Headley back to Milliner. Sydney FC have responded well to going behind here. They have retaken the ball. The question is, can they start creating chances again? Because they will feel as though they had some good ones to lead. Farinella, a giveaway here is red alert though. Kambayashi sees the Sydney defence set. Rolls out to the left. Simmons back to Seiya Kambayashi. And they exchange passes again. Here's Kambayashi against Dyer. Simmons comes round the outside. And the referee eventually signals for a corner. And when he builds up ahead of steam, Sean Simmons, he's like a freight train as he breaks forward. And he just had a deft little touch there to flick it onto the defender and win a corner kick. I have to say that APIA do have the height advantage. Kyle Shaw, Temper Moatamalo, Jack Stewart, tall for a winger. And Presley Ortiz, while not the tallest, does score plenty of headed goals due to his positioning. Here comes an in-swinging corner. Herfslet punches it away. And was a good, confident punch from the goalkeeper, and it finds its way out for a throw-in on the opposite side of the pitch. Throw-in. Farinella making a run. Franco Farinella, just a shallow pass. Didn't catch it the way he would have hoped. And now the Middletons link up. Moatamalo up in the air, got back hastily from the set piece. Shaw with a back pass to Kalatz. Fong finds Stewart. Stewart against Milliner and Headley. Back to Fong. Through comes Monge. And now Aranzia, taken off him. Ortiz heard the shout from Stewart, bustling down the right. It's a teasing ball, and, well, important little up and under volley there from Farias to keep it away from Monge. Very alert defending from the centre-back, and his goalkeeper, Herfslut, made the catch, but Lancaster's caught in possession. And now Ortiz rolls it back to Stewart for his second, and he puts it into the side netting. And again, APIA winning the ball in their attacking half with the press. And it was Sam Lancaster that time who fell into the trap. And APIA couldn't turn it into a shot on target, only the side netting they found. And has that little burst of adrenaline after conceding the goal for Sydney FC worn off here? Are they now falling back into what has largely been the pattern of the first half, and APIA in control? Kyle Shaw, Adanzia sent flying. Caspers came in and won the ball, and now Eddie Caspers can burst forward. Sends it to the right here. Stewart. It's got Fong on the outside. Cameron Fong from a standing start. Back to Stewart. Showing us his left foot, and he was hunting for Ortiz in a cluster of players. Farinella knew exactly where Simmons was set up. Simmons lets fly! And that one was batted down from between the eyes by Herfslut and caught on one bounce. He's getting through a power of work here, the Sydney FC goalkeeper. He's had to make some regulation, but still demanding saves. Reflexes have had to be sharp, and of course he does have a contender now for probably the save of the first third of the season. It's a 30-game season, so in the first 10 rounds, I'm not sure I've seen a better save than Gus Herfslut's from the Presley Ortiz shot earlier in the half. Really brilliant. Half-hearted shouts from the APIA bench for handball. Headley trying to volley it on for Grorowski. Glasson backtracking, but so is Jack Stewart. And he got to the ball first. Monge, Fong, Stewart. Back to Moatamalo. And now Shaw. Sydney FC standing off at the edge of the attacking third as they see it. And Moatamalo tried to stroke a pass down into the attacking half. Fong follows up. Headley. Now Glasson. Can he make something happen here in combination with Headley, who darts over onto his right foot and then leaves it with Middleton bursting through. Lockie Middleton hooked it back into the centre. Adanzia. Headley was sent sprawling, but the referee did not reach for the whistle. It's been a lenient and up-tempo game as a result. Farias hangs up across. Headley at the back post and didn't quite cut it back with any conviction there. I think focus was more on stopping the ball going out rather than driving it back towards a teammate. And thus it's found its way out for a throw-in. Better from Sydney FC, though, in their pursuit of an equaliser. Lancaster leaves it with Milliner. Good header by Shaw, only as far as Ethan Dyer. And an exchange of headers back and forth. Kambayashi, that's such a well-struck pass, and he found Monge. And now Simmons pops it first time over to Stewart. Breakneck speed again from APIA end-to-end. Here's Stewart! What a goal! Jack Stewart finishes the end of an outstanding end-to-end move from APIA Leichhardt. He's got his second of the night. But that one was as much about the team as it was about the finish. And APIA have doubled their lead. And when opponents study the tape, they will have to think about making themselves counterproof to moves like that, because Sydney FC went from deep in their attack to conceding at the opposite end in the blink of an eye. And so in the 38th minute, Jack Stewart is on a hat-trick. He had to come off the bench last week, and Franco Parisi keeping one of the best performing players of recent NPL seasons fresh. And tonight, he is shining. Here's Ortiz. Caught by Farias and cleared for a throw-in rather than a corner. And if APIA find a third, then it's going to be a very long road back for Sydney FC. Not to suggest that we won't get a bit of a shootout. Maybe they can find some goals of their own. The problem is turning off the APIA tap at the other end, especially when players like Simmons have got the bit between the teeth tonight. He's really up for this one, and he's again at his hustling and bustling best, keeping possession over in the flank. Dyer following him to the corner. Simmons tried to do it all himself, and at last bit off more than he could chew, but his physical presence is certainly causing a bit of trouble for the academy defence tonight. Here's Jared Middleton out in front of Milliner. Can Sydney FC halve the deficit? They've got the best part of 6 minutes plus stoppage until half-time. And they have had their moments in this first half. Kambayashi. Simmons biding his time here. Sad Kambayashi finds Eddie Caspers. And again, the APIA passing triangles and communication of who runs where on show. And they almost effortlessly have found their way from the defensive third to the attacking third. But some good stand-up defending over there at right back from Farias. He's able to dispossess Ortiz. Caspers plays it to Shaw, and now Simmons from the touchline. He sends it long down said line to Ortiz, who's able to create some separation and then turn and face towards the penalty area. Just a little chip wedge, and it lingered long enough in the air that Milliner could come out and almost with a kung fu volley drive it out. Back pass here is going to lure Kalatz out of his area. Ortiz appeared to be standing in an offside position. Farias to Dyer. Now Jared Middleton. Lockie Middleton. Grorowski just outpointed by Moatamalo coming across. Lancaster. Ball deflects. Oh, Farinella. You heard the groan on impact from Miles Milliner there. And in a game where the referee has not been particularly compelled to reach for his whistle, never mind the cards, we do see a free kick paid here. The officiating of Rowan Fisher has been a factor in just the end-to-end, up-tempo nature of the game. Both teams really making good football their focus so far. So, a set-piece opportunity. Headley wasting little time. It's a drifted to outside the box, and Kambayashi was nearly away. Well played, Lancaster. APIA again, wave after wave of players, and they do spill the ball. Kambayashi, he's got Jack Stewart running out on a diagonal here. If this ends up in the net for his hat-trick, it will be something magical. Stewart goes to work. He wants to turn provider instead, and that is going to stay in. It dipped like a stone. Kambayashi brings it down. Sydney FC are protesting, and their protests are answered by the referee. It's only a goal kick, not a corner. Well, the unpredictable nature of the wind on show there, because initially off the boot, it looked like it was ballooning out from Stewart, only to then dip and almost drop straight down right on the line where Kambayashi was able to make a play at it. Goal kick from Herfslet. Contested header for Glasson, and he's been able to win his team a throw-in. Hurled into the middle now. Lancaster was always in a bit of bother there against Monge. And so the backtracking Milliner here. He wants his left foot. Stewart trying to catch him. Miles Milliner. Sydney FC managed to turn a throw-in, I should say, in their attacking half into a throw-in deep at left back due to the perhaps perceived and real pressure of the presence of APIA players. Long ball here. Glasson trying to spill the ball to his advantage. Can't do so. Mawatamalo to Simmons. You see Glasson's finishing the first half with a couple of sprints, but can Sydney FC turn the energy into a way back into this contest? Aranzia went to ground. Mawatamalo back to Kalatz. Great header, Jared Middleton. Bouncing on off the synthetic. Fong, Stewart left the ball behind. Aranzia. Kambayashi. Stewart has popped up on the left again, where we know he caused havoc for the opener, and he puts the ball into the gloves of Herfslet this time. Bouncing ball at the edge of the box. Sydney FC. Glasson. As we tick into first half stoppage time. The cutback. Lancaster. Pass almost jumped by Caspers. He's back in. And Sydney FC turn to the referee, but no call. Time Sydney's enemy. Farias, well, we saw him put a shot on target from distance into the goalkeeper's midriff earlier, but this time way out, high and wide. Bit of a wild flay of the ball. So we're going to play it down here. First half already ticked into stoppage time, and the referee has said that'll do. We'll go to halftime. So Kyle Shaw is the player being assessed, but the halftime whistle is gone, and Jack Stewart is the difference between the two teams. To this point of the night, he's got 2 goals to his name, and APIA Leichhardt in command at Illingdon. Thankfully, even though it has been blustery, the wind has not been the main character in the game so far. Sydney FC in need of some answers, while APIA have 2 goals in pocket and are moving into second on the NPL Men's New South Wales table as a result. Stay with us. We'll be back in about 10 minutes for the second half. But for now, our half-time in this match. It is Sydney FC 0, APIA Leichhardt 2. Welcome back to live pictures from Illendon Sports Centre. Half-time of this NPL Men's New South Wales clash, kicking off round 8 between Sydney FC and APIA Leichhardt. And it's APIA, the visitors, with a 2-0 advantage, thanks to Jack Stewart, as we are set to kick off the second 45. And APIA in their away gold and maroon kit, attacking the left of your screens. Teo Pellizzeri with you. And we'll do a quick head count of who's out there and bring you up to speed with any changes, if there have been any at half-time. It was a brisk first half. Stewart with the only 2 goals. No one in the book and no one off injured, seemingly. And it looks as though both teams have come back out with the same 11s that started the game. So no one has turned to the bench yet either, as APIA venture forward and send across through the penalty area. Wonder if Sydney FC will have a renewed energy, because they did start out of the blocks quite quickly, and Jordan Grorowski had an excellent one-on-one chance against Ollie Callas, which was saved when the game was 0-0. And what a different contest and different game it could have been if Sydney FC struck the opening blow. Instead, APIA at the 28-minute mark through Stewart were able to take the lead, and then added a second about 10 minutes later. And he has started the second half over on the outer side to our camera in the scaffold here at Rockdale on a hat-trick. So no changes to the teams that are out there. APIA with Ollie Callas in goal. Centre-backs tonight, Temba Mwatamalo and Kyle Shaw. Left-back taking the throw-in, Sean Simmons, and right-back Cameron Fong. On the ball in midfield there was Eddie Caspers, next to Fabian Monge, the number 19, and Franco Farinella, the number 99. And then the front three, Saya Kambiashi over on the left, Presley Ortiz at the top of the attack, and Jack Stewart, the goal scorer, over on the right. Here is Callas, given the hurry up into a clearance here. Ortiz flying, but Sam Lancaster stayed down and won the header. And Sydney FC through Reef Farias go back to their goalkeeper, Gus Herfslut, directing traffic. He's got to now play the pass, and he's misplaced it. Casper's just a little bit forcefully struck, and that was APIA's chance to really turn up the heat on Sydney FC and go for a third and perhaps leave too big a gap between these sides. Sydney FC came into tonight with 4 wins and 3 defeats, and one of those wins was against Marconi right here on a Friday night at Rockdale. So they had already shown themselves capable of matching it with one of the title contenders for the season. It's a bit of a different looking 11 tonight, as we see a free kick here, which is whipped in, and now a series of headers. Jared Middleton with the last of them to clear the lines. Players breaking out, founding back into position as Caspers surveys the options and clips it harmlessly out for a throw-in. So Sydney FC, Gus Herfslut in goal. Centre-backs Reef Farias and Jared Middleton. Right-backs Ethan Dyer. Left-back Miles Milliner. Stay with play here as Monge is on the ball. It's popped forward by Simmons. Farinella watches it rear up off the synthetic and now plays it through a gate of 2 opponents. Monge attracts a crowd of 3. Kambayashi. He cuts out and veers across the top of the area. Here's Farinella, a deflected strike, and that deflection was very necessary to take it behind for a corner kick. And Franco Farinella, who, again, like a few others in this APIA team, has had to bide his time this season for a start, is making the most of it tonight. So, a corner here for APIA. Going for an in-swinger on the boot of Saya Kambiashi, and Gus Herfslut brings it to ground and is able to run to the edge of the box and hurl it into the attacking half. A throw that reaches the halfway line. Here's Tay Headley. Plays it back to Jared Middleton. Headley stays down. Lancaster, advantage given by the referee, Rowan Fisher. Now, out on the left wing for Sydney FC. They're waxing, though. Can they get the ball forward? Lancaster Uses his right foot, finds Headley. Headley left the ball behind, and now Farinella capitalises on the good work of Caspers. APIA, can they go end to end? Stewart is going to work through the gears here. A quick head check for Watson. He's got two opponents breaking forward. One of them, Saya Kambayashi. Kambayashi cuts it back for Presley Ortiz. Ortiz goes for the nutmeg. Can't quite squeeze past. Farias did enough. Able to stop him from turning the nutmeg into a shot on goal. The ball finds its way out. So the Sydney midfield is Lockie Middleton, Sam Lancaster, and also the debutant Zinedine Adianzia. And then the front three for Sydney, Tay Headley, Mitch Glasson, and also Jordan Gorowski. Kyle Shaw, it was him being treated at the end of the first half after a minute of stoppage had expired, and the referee decided to do the pragmatic thing and reach for the whistle, but clearly it was only minor treatment, and he's been able to resume the second half here. Who is going to be first to turn to the bench? Sydney FC's bench tonight. Alexander Zavadinos, their backup goalkeeper. Kalen Marshall-Witt, Jay Maltz, Nicholas Calder, Zach Fowler and Junior Conde. APIA used their subs to great effect last weekend, but right now it might be more about match management than trying to change the game state, given that they're the ones holding a 2-0 lead. Here's Jared Middleton, hustling back. Plays the ball to Herfsloot. He rolls it out to Lancaster. And now Jared Middleton has to bring a bouncing ball under control. Herfsloot called for the back pass. And now over on the right side, Lockie Middleton. Lancaster caught in possession by Monge. Ortiz turns onto his left and then tried to cut it across. One more pass. And Sydney FC had the numbers scrambling back to deny him. Lachlan Middleton plays the ball to Jordan Gorowski. And some physical defending from Kyle Shaw, but Mitch Glasson didn't protest. Look at this clearance. It's gone high up in the air and then falls like a stone out of the sky, straight down. Sydney FC back in possession as a result. Adianzia showing his flair. Glasson. Lancaster. Glasson. Milliner. Hassled out of possession by Jack Stewart. Now, Presley Ortiz just slowing things down a little bit because he knew he had two opponents. That was clever. He actually played it into the arm of a defender. And now he bursts forward. Ortiz, was he legged? No. Right in front of the referee, who had a perfect view of the situation. And so Sydney FC have the ball back. Farias couldn't find a teammate with his pass. Temba Moatamalo. The game is still going at a great clip here. It's the first real taste of winter tonight. About 12 degrees at the moment at Rockdale, but thankfully the wind has died down, and this is why we're getting such a good spectacle, and the ball is pinging around. This is fantastic NPL football tonight. Well, and there's the commentator's curse. I apologise to Temba Moatamalo for even speaking that little mistouch into existence. It's a window of opportunity for Sydney FC. Here's Farias. Lancaster bouncing off Glasson, and now Headley. Haven't really seen him get into a shooting position yet, Tay Headley. He swings across in here, and it's over the head of Adianzia. And now repelling the other way, Fong straight onto the head of Lancaster. Up comes Jared Middleton to Lachlan Middleton. Now Ethan Dyer. Glasson working in midfield. Adianzia is at centre forward in his absence as the ball is played over to the left channel. And a burst forward here. Half a chance for Sydney FC. The header rears up. And 1-on-2. Simmons was able to win the header inside the defensive penalty area. And his physical presence again, Sean Simmons, all important there, as neither of the two Sydney attackers really wanted to leap against the veteran. Here's Headley. He's getting busy at the moment here, Tay Headley, but can't quite link up effectively with Dyer. And Simmons again on the ball, holding off two opponents and winning a goal kick. And that's why Sean Simmons is still a vital part of this APIA team. He's played so well tonight, Sean Simmons, both in a counter-attacking sense, launching the ball down the left flank, but also his defensive presence has been really important for APIA at times against a Sydney FC team that loves to buzz around and play one-touch passing at the edge of the penalty area when they can get their game going. Ortiz. And Jared Middleton asking the question, but APIA do get the throw. Shaw. Underlapping run from Fong. Has to turn and consolidate with Temba Moatamalo. Now Eddie Caspers. That shouting you hear is James Slaveski, the Sydney FC assistant manager to Jimmy Van Vieren, and the press might be about to win the ball for Sydney FC. Simmons stuck a foot out. He thought there was a handball, but play continues. Sydney FC through Farias, wheeling away from Farinella, and now he gets entangled in a contest. Doubling back is Ethan Dyer, and Sydney FC have to go back to their goalkeeper. Lancaster, Headley. The wind just picks up a little bit, and it is favouring the end that Sydney FC are attacking. They will feel it at their backs. Perhaps a little bit of excitement as they break forward, but right now it's at the wrong end as far as they're concerned. Lancaster tried to thread the eye of the needle through to Glasson there. Farinella having none of it. Simmons. And now Simmons sets Ortiz away. Presley Ortiz up against Farias, and Farias puts the ball out. Kambiashi trying to trap Sydney in deep in their defensive half. And he's done a good job to win a throw-in. Monch. Moatamalo, an aggressive first touch, and then a deflected pass. Dyer. And the assistant referee in the opposite half is flagging. Gorowski. Lockie Middleton having a really tough time just keeping the ball against two opponents, but he did. And now his touch is a good one here. Three really good passes in this chain of play from Lockie Middleton, and he's back to Jared Middleton, who can advance forward. Now the Middletons combine again, but the ball is slowed down and now caught in possession. Presley Ortiz. Breaks wide, out to the wing. Underlapping run from Stewart. Ortiz has got the head down. He's still trying to forage forward best he can. Plays it back to Monge. Now Fong. APIA can go to work here. Kyle Shaw. Sydney is sending their entire bench of outfielders to go and warm up. So whether they've got players on minute plans or whether Jimmy Van Vieren has seen enough, he's going to go and send everyone to go through their paces. They still trail 2-0. No change to the halftime score. Farinella. Caspers laid it out perfectly in front of Simmons. And now Simmons with a sweeping cross, and Herfslut dives out full stretch to clear. Kambayashi volleying on. Middleton got a toe in. That looked like it was off the arm of Stewart, and the referee agrees, signalling for a handball. Well, when Sean Simmons is breaking down the left flank like that, you know there's one thing coming, and it's that reliable left foot being sunk into the ball. Farinella pops it up. Stewart, first time pass, was a little half volley. Height of ambition, though. Simmons bides his time. The return pass from Stewart, intercepted by Lockie Middleton. And again, Sydney FC trying to one-touch their way out of trouble, but now they get stalled. Headley breaks out to the wing, and he's got the better of Fong here, but he's not going to keep accelerating. Tay Headley decides to cut back inside, wait for some support to break ahead of the ball. And he's still body language saying, where are my options? And he doesn't like any of them, so he wheels away and faces away from goal. Now Lancaster. Arianzia on for Grorowski, and Kyle Shaw has the final say with an emphatic clearance. Well, the game continues up-tempo, but Sydney FC aren't really mounting a significant threat at the moment to Oliver Callatz and the APIA goal. Not like the first half, where they did have some very clear-cut chances. It's another clearance that's going to catch what wind there is. Fall in the attacking half for Sydney FC, but only briefly. Simmons roams out into open space. Caspers. Stewart taking on Milliner, and Milliner sees the ball out for a throw-in. Jack Stewart hasn't really had a signature chance at his hat-trick yet. Don't think he'd want to be subbed off anytime soon, though, given that we are only in the 63rd minute. Still waiting for the chance to complete the treble. Here's Callatz clearing. And that's going to bend away. So again, the wind, while the corner flags aren't fluttering, it is still favouring the end that Sydney FC are attacking, the northern end here at Linden. Possession given away. Stewart, maybe this will be his shot at the third goal. He works wide again here. Dyer, Stewart veering inside, running laterally across the top of the box, and it could only last so long before it was nicked off his toes. Glasson, Arianzia making a run. Here goes Zinedine. And first time pass was a little ambitious. Grorowski gives him a little wave, maybe appreciating the ingenuity, but the execution wasn't quite there. APIA are going to be the first to act. They've got a double sub waiting in the wings. Max Court and Alex Denmead set to come on, so I do wonder if Jack Stewart might be about to run out of chances to get his hat-trick tonight. Maybe it's this man they'll put in cotton wool, Saya Kambiashi. It is only 2-0 though. They wouldn't want to concede here with a couple of attacking subs waiting in the wings, APIA. And it seems they're not going to. Moata Marlow advancing forward. Stewart trying to make a run. Sydney FC players collide with each other. Kambiashi. Max Court, the teenage sensation, continuing to receive a briefing. Another of the Australia Under-17 international connections in NPL New South Wales men's this season, playing regular minutes in first grade. Look at Simmons here. He's just taking the game on single-handedly. What a run this is. And now he sends it out to the right. It'll be a great assist if Stewart can finish this. He's going to shoot on the tight angle, and Herbslet makes the save. And I think Stewart saw the work of his teammate and captain Sean Simmons and said, I'm not going to pass this off because I want you to get what would be a great assist if I can score. So, double change, moment of truth as we find out who Alex Denmead and also Max Court are coming on for here. And it looks as though it is Saya Kambiashi, and it's also going to be Franco Farinella who are taking their leave. So Farinella is first to the sideline, and now Saya Kambiashi taking an earlier mark than usual for such an important player, but with APIA enjoying a 2-0 lead and having such a depth of quality on their bench. Alex Denmead in form, it must be said as well, and probably champing at the bit for minutes. So he comes on, he takes up a position on the wing, and Court goes central. if you have seen some of the buzz around Max Court, tuning in from afar to watch NPL New South Wales for the first time, watch out for him in that number 14 shirt. He's got the fluoro boots on tonight, so he'll be hard to miss. Of course, it's been a really significant week for NPL Men's New South Wales, because we also saw another 17-year-old, Gabriel Tillo, called up to the Australia Under-20 team. He only misses out on eligibility for the current Under-17s by a couple of weeks because he's a December born. So he's quite unlucky in that respect, but he is currently away with the Under-20s in China. They play tomorrow night and Tuesday night in a couple of friendlies. But it means he'll be missing Sydney United duty this weekend. Here is Max Court, fresh off the bench. And after that wrap, his first pass, albeit completed, has sent Simmons wide. And now Denmead not able to connect with the ball. Sydney subs still stretching and going through warm-ups at the moment, so no thoughts of an immediate answer to the APIA double change with Sydney subs of their own. Denmead hustled off the ball as Moatamalo leans into a header. Jared Middleton follows up. Grorowski, and now popped forward by Headley. It's a foot race, and a foot race that is won by Oliver Kalatz, and he bends the ball out for a throw-in. Sydney FC take it quickly. Lachlan Middleton, the pass was a glance that went in the wrong direction for Sydney FC. Monge seized upon it. Now Max Court driving forward. Court lays it off. Stewart chops it into the box, and Ortiz has been yorked. And it bounces past him, out for a goal kick. Just arrived at an awkward height for Presley Ortiz and Jack Stewart there. Having shot on the tight angle earlier, only a couple of minutes ago, this time opted to do the team thing and look for one more pass, but just couldn't stick it. All right, Sydney FC have decided that enough's enough. They are going to make a substitution in response, and it's going to be Jay Maltz coming on here, and he replaces Zinedine Arianzia, who no doubt will remember tonight a bit of a measuring stick game and an initiation to senior men's football against one of the top teams, and all part of the learning process for him. And on comes Jay Maltz, who himself is not a frequent regular in the Sydney FC senior team at NPL level, but he was also in the most recent Australia Under-17 camp, so another player with a bright future coming on in midfield here and looking to test himself against this APIA team, who, while not ferocious in front of goal tonight, still only leading by 2-0, seemingly firmly in control of the contest. In Sydney FC, you do wonder if they are at some point going to be able to make their move, or if APIA are going to just manage this to the finish line as we meander our way towards the 70-minute mark with the visitors largely in control. Shaw. Simmons. Hard against the line for Denmead. Holding off Farias. And he gets stuck in a 1-on-2. Sydney FC spill possession. Grorowski. And now Headley. Here's Jay Maltz straight off the bench. And he's denied a shot by the APIA defence closing ranks. Farias. Some physical defending. Monge has done well. Up goes Lancaster with the header. Lockie Middleton. Pickpocketed by Caspers, and now away comes Stewart, and APIA are flowing forward here. Caught on the outside. Stewart pops the pass. He's going to get a second chance here, and he goes back and wins his own ball. Caspers, Denmead, Stewart collapsing to the ground, but through his own making rather than a free kick. And a little bit too much grabbing means that it's going to be a Sydney FC free kick in the opposite direction. Just taking a look at the rest of what's coming up this weekend in NPL Men's New South Wales. 5 games tomorrow and then 2 on Sunday. Just the 1:03 p.m. kickoff tomorrow at Wanderers Football Park. It's Western Sydney Wanderers against the Marconi Stallions. 2 games at 5. This venue will be back in action for the visit of the only perfect team remaining in the division as Sydney United 58 come to visit Rockdale. And over at the Village Green, it'll be University of New South Wales against St George City at 5:30. Sutherland Sharks against Manly United. That really is a must-win for Sutherland as they continue their start to the season that hasn't quite been as filled with wins as they may have hoped after hitting reset on the entire senior football program in the off-season. Of course, it'll be vital for Manly too. Giveaway here. And now on the turn, Glasson blocked away the application of Caspers. He refused to let anything past, and now he stands off at the last second. Court lunged in. Moatamalo timed his tackle well, and Ortiz able to protect the ball. Stewart caught, and he sends it a little long, a little early. And the last game on Saturday, 6:30 kickoff at Barton Park, second week in a row at Barton Park, St George against NWS Spirit. And then both games on Sunday are 3 p.m. kickoffs at Wollongong. It'll be the Wollongong Wolves against Sydney Olympic, and at Landon Stadium, stay with Denmead. Denmead shoots, blocked away by Lancaster. Just tried to shoot through him, really, rather than around him. Last game of the weekend is Blacktown City against the SD Raiders. So a bit of something for everyone this weekend. Will we see Sydney United drop points for the first time? And will we have perhaps some of the slow starters get dragged right into the battle for positions in the bottom half of the table with the Sutherland Manly game and also Blacktown City against SD Raiders? You can watch them all on this YouTube channel, Football New South Wales, over the course of the weekend. As we see a show of strength between Moatamalo and Glasson. Denmead with a flick on. Ortiz and Monge run into each other. Bit of a miscommunication there. Neither saw the other coming as they contested the same ball. J. Maltz jagging at the top of the box. Glasson went to ground in the penalty area. He's quickly back up and a drive, which is wide left. Was firmly struck by Miles Milliner. He loves to use his left foot like that. And he's put it into the construction site behind the goal. So we're going to need a spare ball and a keen ball boy to go and retrieve it from next to the crane. I think that's gone like literally right into the pit that's being dug behind the goal at the northern end or the right of your screens as you see it. And it's going to prompt activity on the bench as well. APIA have made 1 double change. Now they're going to make a second. Oscar Gonzalez is coming on. Fabian Monge comes to the bench. And also the number 8, Michael Conestabro, comes on, and Presley Ortiz's night ends without finding the back of the net. So Gonzalez goes to centre forward, Conestabro dropping into midfield. So APIA have now made 4 of their 5 available substitutions. Sydney FC just the 1 so far. And again, the luxury of riches that APIA have in depth, that Michael Conestabro is coming on almost as a finisher here for the final 15 minutes. I must admit, I'm not the biggest fan of using a term like finisher or game changer instead of substitute. But in this instance, maybe he literally actually is the right application for that term. Because APIA, a third, would put them out of sight. And for now, the game just lingers if Sydney FC can halve the deficit and set up a big finish at Ilinden. Maltz has had some nice touches since coming on. On this occasion, though, he's going to have to go backwards to Farias. It's being urged forward by Ethan Dyer, who now receives the pass over on the right. Dyer jagging in on the diagonal, and he tried to find a gap that wasn't there. Conestabro won the ball. Gonzalez, just a shallow touch, not quite there for Denmead. And maybe we'll see a little bit more of that as the second team almost comes on here for APIA. Maybe not the same fluency of link-up in the passing moves. And Gorowski chasing what proves to be a lost cause in the end. It runs long. Sydney FC have got Zach Fowler ready to go. And the shout comes for Jordan Gorowski, who leaves over on the right-hand side of the pitch behind the goal. And on comes the number 9, Zach Fowler, for some minutes here. He goes straight up top. Callets. Onto the head of Milliner. Conestavo working with Court. Max Court, good close control. Great balance. And he's able to keep his feet and send the ball to Stewart. Plays it back to Muatamalo. All the way back to Callats. He's getting a few more touches in the last 10 minutes or so, but that one not his finest as it catches the wind and sails out. Lancaster. Dyer to Maltz. Block tackle in midfield. Fowler trying to put the ball around the corner. Dyer will still take possession and leave it with Headley. Tay Headley back to Ethan Dyer. Hurried into a pass. And Maltz appealing for a handball, not to be. And now there's a foot race on. Middleton trying to cut off the angles here against Oscar Gonzalez. One of the most recently arrived subs, Gonzalez, driving it. Oh, that was tempting. And that, you'd have to say, has been the best chance so far for Jack Stewart to complete his hat-trick. He was just half a step late to think about lunging out for what would have been a tap-in had he made ground. And instead it's a cross flashing through the penalty area. All right, fifth and final change coming for APIA then. Throw in to be taken over on the right. And a first-time shot from Conestavo, drawing a save out of Gus Herfslund. It's hard to keep him out of the game for very long, Michael Conestavo. And now, forward break Sydney FC. Looks as though Christian Lombardo might have handed in the number 38 shirt for the number 31. Apologies if that is a mis-ID. I'll try and chase up in real time whether there was a late change to the bench, but just double-checking the dribble lineups. Still has Christian Lombardo and the number 4, Aishin Kishimoto, as the last available outfielders for APIA. It does appear, from this distance at least, in the scaffold to be Christian Lombardo. Here he is in the number 31 shirt on the ball here. Sees an underlapping run from Gonzalez, and the ball is cleared away. Sounds as though Sydney FC are summoning 2 more subs of their own to come on here. Kalen Marshall, Witt and Junior Conde have seemingly gotten the call. We'll see how far away they actually are. In the meantime, the game remains open, and APIA are venturing forward again. Milliner with the clearance. Simmons, still full of running. Low left-footed ball this time for Gonzalez, and it's cleared away. pass all the way to Höfslut. And so we're going to see that double change, which Sydney FC had flagged a moment ago. Kalen Marshall-Witt in the number 4 shirt and Junior Conde, number 11. Lachlan Middleton and also Miles Milliner come off. Marshall-Witt over to left back and Conde into seemingly more of an attacking role. Thank you to Jude Dolan from ground level who has confirmed the change of shirt. This is Lombardo in possession here. Can he score? He fires into the side netting. Well, that would have been quite the introduction for Christian Lombardo. And perhaps that could have been a third goal and good night. Not to be. Sydney FC, though, they do seem to be a little bit far away from a goal to breathe life back into their hopes at the moment. We've ticked into the final 10 minutes of regulation. Still plenty of time if they're good enough. If they can halve the deficit and just plant the seed of doubt. The problem is that APIA have such a senior squad that it's very hard to plant seeds of doubt in this team. They lost in the opening round, the Derby d'Italia against Marconi. And this would now be 6 wins and a draw since then. Here's Conestabro. Simmons. Oh, Gonzalez nearly rainbow kicked it to his own advantage. And he's still battling for possession here against Farias, who is able to shuffle a back pass down to Höfslut. I think the other factor is that it's been such a high-tempo game. APIA, the more seasoned, match-hardened team, even Sydney FC at full strength would be, albeit with young legs, the less experienced team to see this one out, trying to launch a late comeback. Gonzalez heard the shout from Court. Court keeps it moving from left to right as Fong advances. Now Lombardo. Underlapping run is met by Court. He looks up at 2 defenders here, and veers away from both and draws a corner kick. So he's led a couple of defenders over to the corner there, and Marshall-Witt was the one who put it behind. Seems to be a bit of a discussion here from APIA about who's going forward and who's staying back. Looks as though Fong, Conestabro and Caspers are all going to stay back to try to prevent the counter-attack. And Sydney FC are going to leave 2 forward. So they're going to roll the dice ever so slightly here at trying to win a defensive header to launch a counter. And it does leave Max Court free at the edge of the box. Court takes possession, immediately attracts a crowd of 3, tries to fire a left-footed shot, and now turns back onto his right. He goes to ground. He manufactures an attempt in the end. And it does go down as a shot on target, but he was being knocked off balance as he did so. And it was saved by Höfslut. Fowler not able to run past Conestabro, and APIA's counterproof defending does indeed come to fruition. Kalatz hoping for Lombardo out on the right flank, brought down by Jared Middleton, I should say. My apologies. So here's a throw in for Sydney FC. Do they have the belief in the team as well? Quick string of passes. The wind howls back up. Headley hoping for Conde, but Kyle Shaw's in position here, and Shaw will use his much larger frame to hold off any press from Conde and usher the ball out for a goal kick. So the clock is increasingly becoming APIA's friend here. And the other thing is we've other than Kyle Shaw in first half stoppage time, we have not seen an injury of any note tonight. The subs have gone through quickly. It's been a brisk game. You wouldn't think there'd be much more than maybe 2, maybe even 3 minutes of stoppage time based on what we've seen so far. And the ball has spent so much time in play as well. That's the other thing. Oh, body check here from Caspers. He did not want J Maltz going past him. No thoughts of reaching for a card from the referee, Rowan Fisher, who has had his role in allowing the game to unfold the way it has. There's barely been any spite or edge to it tonight, it must be said. Simmons working with Conestobo. And Simmons on his right foot this time. Denmead stuck behind Farias. Farias back to Herfsloot. And he lifts it out for a throw-in. Applause coming from the APIA bench. Conestobo knocks it down to Simmons. Neat 1-2 with Denmead. Simmons tried to flash a pass into Gonzalez, couldn't find him. Maltz. Now Dyer. Fowler gets another chance here. Oh, he steps over the challenge of Conestobo. Nicely done, Zach Fowler. Sydney FC rotate the ball out to the left side now. Marshall Witt. And here goes Middleton. Fowler again. He's had a few touches in this phase. Lancaster. Oh, is this Sydney FC's moment to find a goal? Just to make it a bit tasty at the end of the night. Maltz. And the passes come unstuck with Dyer. And Farias, we might be on for our first touch here in the scaffold. Nope, it bounces up into our tier of the scaffold. Off the boot, that looked promising. Simmons, you heard the oomph as he threw it. Maltz backtracking, under duress from Denmead. And he ran out of space in the end. Well played, Denmead, winning his team a throw. Down deep in attack. And APIA have just had all of the little margins tonight. They've had 2 moments of quality from Jack Stewart to find the back of the net, but they've done a lot of the little things well as well, and they win a corner kick here. And again, it's a set piece down at their attacking end. They remain firmly in control of this contest. Understandably, no urgency to take the corner. So, short corner, Simmons returns the ball to Denmead, and he tumbles it wide. Bit anticlimactic in the end. Callets is going to take every second the referee will give him here. We haven't seen the referee reach for the yellow card tonight. I think Callets is going to maybe take a few liberties here and just test the patience. The referee happy to let it all unfold. Simmons with the long ball. Jared Middleton knocks a header down to Farias. Conestobo right on his case. Farias, Conde. Or Farias trying on the ball. Conestobo trying for a bending pass, but it was just a little straight. Down to the advantage of Herfsloot. Now long ball, hoping for Fowler here, and Callats out to the edge of his area. he is closing in on keeping a clean sheet. Fourth official not too far away from hoisting the board and putting this one in the books. Although Conestobo's left the door ajar here. And now Headley, oh, what a great slide challenge from Guatemala. He committed from some distance away, and he won the ball, and it might launch a counter-attack here. APIA flooding forward through Lombardo, and now Court. Max Court veers right. Can he get the better of his man? He lifts in a left-footed attempt. Lombardo just caught behind Lancaster, and that'll be enough for Sydney to clear initially. Conestobo follows up. Court. And as it runs on, Maltz is able to find a gap for Glasson, but he runs into trouble. Caspers wins it away. APIA just looking for another gear at the end of the night. Lombardo, and it flashes across the face. Well, he put one into the side netting on the right, and that one pitched and went just wide of the left-hand post. So he's been able to create a couple of chances here. Christian Lombardo. That has taken us into stoppage time. Just waiting for a quick look at the fourth official's board. Shaw comes through with a solid header. The ball is kicked out into the greenery on our camera side of the ground. Headley. Conestobo, Farias. Conestobo with a deft touch. Now bursting forward is Court. Lombardo has got a couple in the box. Denmead, one of them. Denmead chests it down and has defenders to contend with. He wants his right. A bending shot. Herfslet was able to go the right way. Even with a deflection, even with a bobble, he makes the save. He keeps the damage to 2. Again, there's a bit of increased urgency as players empty their last reserves of energy at the end of the night. But that will do it. 3 points in the bank for APIA Leichhardt. They move up to second on the table to start round 8 of NPL Men's New South Wales. A first half double from Jack Stewart, and a game that really was decided in the first 10 minutes with massive saves from Oliver Kalatz, particularly a one-on-one against Jordan Grorowski that could have set this night off on a very different course. And then APIA really put on a masterclass of game management as they steered their halftime advantage to the finish line. And Sydney FC, well, they kept the game up tempo, but ultimately never created chances of as good a quality as what they had before the opening goal hit the back of the net. So it's Jack Stewart's double that does prove the difference, and APIA Leichhardt now will wait for other results this weekend to see just how close to the pointy end of the table they are by the end of the weekend. But for now, second is theirs, and they will sit back and enjoy the rest of the action in NPL Men's New South Wales, having already taken care of business. On behalf of our broadcast partner, Sportscast Australia, my name's Teo Pellizzeri. Thank you for your company from the Linden Sports Centre tonight. And we leave you with a full-time score of Sydney FC 0, APIA Leichhardt 2.